Hi everyone. So today we'll be discussing about a situation that might be happening with your child's teeth. You might be finding it unusual too, but not really knowing about what it's called and how one should be going about it. So tell me if any of your child's teeth condition are like this. So yes, what we are going to be discussing today is called a crossbite, and there are many kinds of crossbite as you can see on your screen being displayed, right? So now before we jump into that, this was just a preview. Let's see what actually crossbite means, right? So crossbite, if I consider it in lay terms, what is it? In layman terms, crossbite is a type of malocclusion. That means it's a type of abnormal occlusion or abnormal uh, set of full closure. That means occlusion is basically when the upper and the lower teeth is in a state of full closure, right? They are in full contact, like how you see in photographs. So it is a type of malocclusion. That means abnormal occlusion. That means abnormal full closure, or it's a type of misalignment of teeth, wherein the upper teeth fit inside of lower teeth. Because in a usual situation, in a normal situation, it is the upper teeth that fit outside the lower teeth. But in this situation, in a crossbite situation, the upper teeth will fit inside the lower teeth. Now, this malalignment can affect a single tooth or groups of teeth, or it can just be involving a segment. That means it can just involve the front segment. When it involves the front segment of teeth, it is called anterior crossbite. When it involves the back segment of teeth, then it's called the posterior crossbite. So whichever ways, there are many kind. If it involves just one side of the mouth, at the back it will be unilateral posterior crossbite. Now let's go back to the picture again that I showed you before. Okay, now let's see to the kinds of crossbite again, or the different situations that can be happening in a crossbite. So let's start with the topmost in our left side. That means left topmost picture. So as you can see, I have put up unilateral or partial posterior crossbite picture. Now unilateral, because if you can see, there is just one side that is in problem. That means when only one side of the teeth is involved. Why posterior? Posterior because it is affecting the back segment of teeth, if you can see the picture. So that is why it is unilateral or partial, because it is just one side that is involved, and posterior crossbite because the back set of the teeth is involved. Another situation can be wherein it can be a bilateral or complete posterior crossbite. Again, the next picture just adjacent to it. See, because both the sides are involved, because both the back teeth, in fact, both the back upper teeth, I should say, are inside the lower back teeth, and it is at the back segment. That is why it is a posterior crossbite. So again, it is a bilateral or complete posterior crossbite. Now the same thing wherein the upper teeth fits inside the lower teeth can also affect just one tooth. If you can see on the left hand side of the picture, that says single tooth crossbite. See, left hand side of the tooth, that is the lateral incisor, it is inside. Only one tooth, only one upper lateral incisor is inside the lower lateral incisor. So there's only one tooth that is in crossbite. That is why we call it a single tooth crossbite. Now coming down to it, just down to this picture, you will see anterior crossbite. What happens in this? We see that the entire front segment of the tooth, that is from canine to canine, we see that is upper front teeth, are sitting inside the lower front teeth, and because the entire front segment is involved, we call it as anterior crossbite. Similar to this, if we go again left to the picture that I just discussed, it's written multiple teeth crossbite. Now, because it is in the front segment of teeth, I have mentioned it to be an interior. So what happens in this? Not just one, but there are two teeth. As you can see, the upper two front teeth, the upper two central incisors, they are sitting inside the lower central incisors, and that is why it is a multiple teeth or two teeth crossbite. And because it is in the front segment of teeth, we call it as anterior crossbite. Again, if you can see, there is another variation of a single tooth crossbite, wherein just only one right upper central incisor is in crossbite, right upper front teeth is in crossbite. So this is again so there can be numerous situations depending upon where the location of the crossbite is or which tooth is involved. There can be different kinds of crossbite. Okay, now the question that comes to mind is, why does it occur? So I'll be discussing two main reasons. See, the first reason to it is over retained primary teeth. Okay, why do I say over retained primary teeth? See, primary teeth have got a service period. If they tend to remain longer than that, they are going to cause problems. Now, if the primary teeth or the milk teeth remain longer than their usual time, they are going to affect the eruption of the permanent teeth that is going to erupt. And because the milk teeth have not fallen off, they are still there at the place of permanent teeth, where will the permanent teeth erupt? So the permanent teeth end up erupting behind the milk teeth, and this lands the child in a situation that we just discussed called as crossbite. The second problem can be premature contacts. See, the situation that I showed you of crossbite, it can actually happen because of the misplacement of teeth, or it can also happen because there is some premature contact, there is some hitting of the upper and lower teeth while the child is trying to close his mouth, and because there is some interference, there is some premature contact, because of which, to avoid which, the child is placing the lower jaw in such a way that the lower teeth are ahead of the upper teeth. So in that situation also, a situation like crossbite arises, but that is not a real crossbite. That is actually called as a pseudo crossbite, because that is happening because of the functional shift of lower jaw. The child is shifting the lower jaw because of some premature contact, because of some interference while the child is closing mouth. Okay. Okay, now comes the question of when to treat it. So yes, it should be treated as soon as it is recovered. There shouldn't be any delay after you've understood and you've recovered it, and also when it's possible. So basically, as soon as it is recovered and as soon as it is possible. Now, what happens if you don't treat it? The first thing is there'll be loss of midline symmetry. That means, see, midline of an individual, specifically the face midline, is a very important factor when it comes to looks, or when it comes to aesthetics, right? How pleasing one looks. It is said that the most symmetric face is said to be the most pleasing one according to science. So if you don't have your crossbite, or if you don't get your child's crossbite treated, there will be loss of arch dimension. That means the arch space will be lost, obviously, because in crossbite obviously the tooth is crowded, the tooth positioning is not normal, it's crowded. So that ways the space is going to get lost, and also the symmetry, the midline symmetry will be lost, and you will have an asymmetric midline. Then there will also be traumatic occlusion. It will be hurting the teeth in one or the other way, and there'll be stripping of the gums as you can see in the picture. Yeah, because the upper teeth were supposed to sit outside the lower teeth. Now when that's not happening, when it's sitting inside the lower teeth, what is it causing? It's actually causing or creating undue pressure on the lower teeth, and that will cause the gums or the gingival tissue of that involved lower teeth to strip away, and that will weaken your teeth and ultimately lead to loss of tooth or teeth, depending upon where the situation is and what number of teeth it involves. Or it can also result in having wear facets on involved teeth, as I've pointed out with an arrow. So yes, you will have wear facets, you will have those abrasion marks, or I should say attrition marks, where the teeth are having unnatural hitting. Then there'll be untowards growth pattern, as I just mentioned, because of the functional shift, because of the premature contact, if that's happening, and if the child is continuously positioning the lower jaw in an abnormal way to avoid that premature hitting or premature contact, then in that ways, if you're continuously directing the lower jaw in a certain direction, it will obviously end up growing in that direction, and you will have an untowards growth pattern. So to avoid all of these, you need to understand the situation, understand the cause of it, get it treated as soon as it is recovered and as soon as it is possible. So I have tried to give you an overview of the situation called as crossbite, but it's not possible to cover the entire topic in just one video, so I'll be making parts to it. This is just the part 1. I'll try to cover the treatment and also the various other kinds of crossbite that are there because of the reason. So I'll try to cover that too, as and when it's possible in the subsequent parts. That's it for now. Take care. And yes, one more thing, I've tried to simplify the topic as much as possible from my side, but if you have any doubts, or if something is not being clear to you, you can always write to me in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Take care. Thank you.